Now let's cover a pretty big one, which is whether to use ice or heat based on how your back is feeling. So we've got Frank, say hello Frank, and we're looking at your back because we want to figure out, do I use ice or do I use heat? So when we're looking at your back and you're experiencing pain, if you're experiencing pain right here, right along the spine, smack dab in the middle, without a doubt, it is more so in the middle than in one side or the other. I always want you using ice because when it comes to bone or anything that's in here right along the middle, you've got your vertebrae, your nerves, and what we're probably looking at is going to be inflammation. So if you've got inflammation in your low back and we add heat, we're just adding to the inflammation. When your body's inflamed, it sometimes can even be hot to the touch. And by adding more heat, we're just going to stir that on. Now, if you've got discomfort that goes primarily to one side versus both sides equally or towards the middle, if you've got it all to one side, then what I want you to do is alternate between ice and heat. So you'll do 20 minutes of ice and you'll immediately follow that by 20 minutes of heat. 20 minutes of ice, 20 minutes of heat. And when you don't know, if you've got your pain and it's still pretty much considered low back, but it's a little bit on the higher side, then I want you to kind of use a little bit of judgment, because if it's closer to the spine, then I still want you to use ice. But if it's kind of like out here, sometimes these muscles that go along these lower ribs, when they become irritated, it's because they've been overworked, and sometimes heat will help a bit with that. Also, another thing too is if your back is actively spasming, which means you kind of feel it doing one of these numbers, or you feel it kind of twitching like this, then you do want to use heat, because the heat will actually help calm that muscle down, whereas the ice will kind of freak it out and it might go into more spasm. And if you ever just aren't sure, you can always alternate between ice and heat and really just pay attention. Does the ice make it feel better? Does the heat make it feel better? I will tell you as a warning though, particularly with the low back, too often I have seen people use too much heat. And what ends up happening is that the muscle already is kind of like a jelly-like texture by itself, but when you put heat on it repeatedly and over a longer period of time, you start turning these muscles that are meant to support your spine and support your back, you start turning them into like this soupy consistency, and then they start not activating really well. And then when you go to put them to work, they automatically become injured. It's like, I barely did anything at all. If you've got that going on, for sure, you've been using way too much heat. This will happen if you use it several days in a row, back to back. You don't ever want to be doing that to these muscles on your low back, because you want them to be able to support your spine, and they can't do that if they're too and relaxed.